Right, so you join us here on the kind of urban end of one of the country's most famous chalk streams. This is obviously the estuarine system of one of those rivers that we all fish for roach and all of the various coarse species, but also the salmon that move up and down here. And as you start to get out to these parts of these rivers, you start to find some more of the sea species, the mullet and the sea bass, and that's what we're targeting today. So I've brought out one of the Lureflex rods, which is the 9-foot 15 to 50 gram rod, which as soon as I've seen it in the Drennan lineup, for me it screams a bass rod to be able to get yourself out there and catch a few of these amazing fish. I spend a lot of my summer kind of zoned in on bass, if I'm honest. I think they're amazing species. The hit that you get on lures is absolutely awesome. The fight's fantastic, and they're really accessible once you start to understand kind of where they are and where you can find them. So that's why we've come out today. Hopefully we can find a few fish. We're right at the end of the season, so the fish are a little bit harder to find, but fingers crossed we can find one, and we will take you on the journey with us. Yeah. Bit of a change over to a soft plastic. I wanted to try and catch them on the top, like you would for pike and perch. This is a 22 gram jig head. Just something to get it on the bottom. Just fishing up to some structure. We've got some lovely metal pylons there. I just made the switch over to a jig head rather than a topwater. It's not the biggest bass in the world, but an instantaneous result. So just shows that in these kind of estuarine areas of all of our rivers, there's some great sport to be had. I'm just going to let this one go. Oh, sorry, mate. All I'm fishing is a 22 gram open jig head. Sounds like a lot, but it's a kind of darting sand eel type pattern. It means I can really punch it out. And I'm fishing it tight up against some structure. So all I'm doing is feeling that down to the bottom. Oh, there you go, fish straight away. Lifting it up off the bottom and letting it drop back down to the bottom. You're just waiting for those kind of telltale plucks. Obviously with the bigger fish, it's much more of a smash. And like I said, just focusing on the structure in the same way as you would be focusing on the structure if you're fishing for perch, if you're fishing for pike, zander and all of the rest of the predators that we find further up these rivers. You know, these estuarine systems can be exactly the same, and it can be excellent sport. Catching lovely little schoolie bass like that. So it does show that there are much bigger fish knocking around to be had. Hopefully we'll find one, but let's let this one go. What a difference a day makes. This is one of the things I love about bass fishing. A day later, same time of the day, slightly different tide, very different weather, slightly less wind. we've had some different results. So we wanted to come down today and try and do a little bit more on the surface. Yesterday was very, very windy to catch fish, but obviously we had to change our tactics slightly, and I wanted to see how the rod performed using some top waters, and today's been a brilliant day for it. We've had a couple of really nice bass off the top, and as you can see behind me, you've got much calmer conditions. Lovely for kind of seeing the lure as you're working it back, but also spotting fish is much easier in this type of condition as well. What a beautiful way to start the day. Just fired the top water down the side of this kind of steel girder wall here, and this gorgeous bass just kind of followed it, hitting it. Sometimes this works, not all the time, but I love it when it does. Just stop the lure, completely stopped, right on the paws, deep into the paws. He absolutely engulfed it. So what a beautiful fish. Just goes to show the types of fish you can catch in these urban environments. You know, these gorgeous, hard fighting sea bass are way more accessible than you think. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Right, so I'll just quickly go through the setup and a few of the lures of kind of what we've been using to catch these fish. So this is obviously the Lureflex 9-foot 15 to 50. I've got that with some braided mainline on a 3000 size spinning reel. I use Suplex in the 10-pound, my fluorocarbon leader, probably put 2.5, 3 foot of fluorocarbon. You can get away with a bit less. As you see, I've cut this back a few times from being in snags, but it's probably getting to the shortest that I'll fish it, which is maybe 18 inches at the moment, down to a little clip so that I can change over my lures nice and quickly. And then if I was fishing kind of further out or in the kind of beach marks and stuff, I'd probably step up the fluorocarbon, maybe to a 16 pound, something like that. And then I've been using 3 different types of lures. So surface lures, these are Pachinkos. This is a Pachinko 100 and a Pachinko 125. These are absolutely deadly for fishing on the top. You just want to bounce that rod tip and get the lure moving backwards and forwards, kind of walking the dog on its way in. Little pauses can work really nicely. They've really wanted it on the pause over the last couple of mornings. They've been following it in. You can see them splashing behind it, but not really taking the lure. A little stop, and then they've been hitting it. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, and it does take a little bit of a brave man to stop it, because sometimes that will be it. You won't see them again. It's just about changing up that retrieve, picking it up, slowing it down, stopping it, and seeing if you can entice those fish into a bite. It's very, very obvious when they're coming after the lure. And in terms of a strike, let them take it before you then set the hook. And then I've been using 2 different types of jig presentations. So we've got a sand eel presentation here. This is a 22 gram jig head. I like using a slightly heavier jig head because I can let it drop to the bottom. I can really feel that lure bouncing as soon as it hits the bottom, and then I can pick it up and impart the action with the rod and the reel. Nice and simple, and I think that's the key for this type of stuff, is just keep it super simple. Get down here at the right times of day, so dawn and dusk. Generally dawn I find to be the best time. A few hours, try and work out your tides. Some places are going to fish better with the tide going out, some places are going to fish better with the tide coming in, and some places fish really nicely on the slack, but there's not very many places that do fish well on the slack. So keep an eye on your tides, keep an eye on your times of day. It can be an early alarm call, but it's definitely worth it. Yes, yep, yeah, it's a better one, yep. That is an absolute stunner. Down the same piece of structure, just as the sun's starting to come up. I think there's probably 3 or 4 of these type of size fish down there. They seem to go off the boil once one takes it, and then I went for a little wander and came back. Same again, 3 or 4 fish competing for the lure, not taking it on the move. Big pause, stop, waited a couple of seconds, and bang. Screaming drag and a beautiful estuary bass. So let's get this one back, see if we can catch a couple more of its mates, but that is an absolute stunning piece of silver. Right, so now the fishing's gone a little bit quieter, I guess it's a good time to talk about the rod that we're using. So this is the Lureflex 9-foot, 15 to 50 gram. I've kind of put it through its paces. To be honest, I think it's absolutely fantastic. Loads and loads of sensitivity considering the price point. So I've been casting these jigs out full cast, letting them drop to the bottom. I'm feeling the drop on the gravel, and obviously I'm picking up those small indications as well. So that's really, really good. It's got a kind of medium fast action, which is more than enough to get those surface lures working properly. And yeah, I've been really, really impressed. We've had a lot of fun. It just shows that you don't need to spend £1 million on your bass rod setup. Just pick up something like this, grab yourself a few lures, give it a go, and I guarantee that you'll enjoy catching these amazing fish.